Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Kansas City Bucket List Podcast. I am Mindy, your host, and I'm really excited to bring to you today Jerry and Jean-Louis from TerraVox Winery. TerraVox Winery is this sprawling, incredible, beautiful winery vineyard just north of Kansas City by 20 minutes. And we're going to dive into all about the Missouri grapes, what makes their award-winning wines so attractive, and the experience that you can get going to TerraVox and also finding them around town. So really excited for you guys to tune in and enjoy hearing their story. Thank you guys so much for joining us at the podcast today. I'm excited to have you guys here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Super excited. We're going to talk about TerraVox Winery, one of the most beautiful properties. We were talking about this before we started recording. You know, we have worked together for several years now, me coming out there, exploring, doing some tastings and everything, and I couldn't wait to have you guys in. We haven't had the chance to really sit down and talk about you, and we're going to get into the story of TerraVox, but it is one of the most beautiful properties that I want everybody to get out to if they haven't been out to yet. So thank you for having that as a part of the Kansas City experience. So,
well, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jerry Eisterhold, the founder, proprietor, whatever I want to call myself.
Sure.
TerraVox Vineyards and Winery.
And you've had TerraVox for how long now?
We moved up to the property in 1996
Okay.
to started planting the vines, and then got a in 2012. So the project was very much a kind of a living museum, kind of a hobby experience. And in 2012, my accountant informed me that I needed to try to have an income.
Oh,
As
sure.
opposed to just an expense.
Life was calling, and yeah.
We got in the licensing and all that sort of. We became a winery in 2012.
2012. Okay,
Yeah.
good. And you are?
I'm Jean-Louis Horvilleur, so I make the wine at TerraVox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could have the title winemaker, I mean, that's something that I aspire to. That's
a cool
pretty fun.
title, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I love wine. I love everything about like the lifestyle of it. I feel like you guys are living the dream, and I need to be mentored by you guys on how to have my own winery someday. So that'd be fun.
Well, my standard response when someone asks how's it going, I always say, living the dream.
Living the dream,
But
literally.
then no one ever asks what the dream is.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, could be many things. Well, good. Well, let's kind of get into, let's start with you. I want to hear your background because you're from Missouri originally, right?
Central Missouri.
Central Missouri. And I want to hear about how you got, like, what you studied and, you know, what you did previous to TerraVox. And then we can get into the TerraVox story and how you really started this.
Well, let's see. Depending on what your sense of humor is, depends on how I respond to that.
We love a good sense of humor.
Born
So,
on a little farm, little town in mid-Missouri that had 72 people after I left.
wow.
So went to college to the big city of Columbia, Missouri, went to MU.
Okay.
I had a passel of, I think, 7 ag scholarships. So, and it didn't occur to me that there was anything else you could do for a living. So
Sure.
I hadn't, seen people in suits or ties or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I did agronomy for a while, and then discovered that there was a larger world. That the path led through sciences, but then sciences are things that you can pay attention and learn. And then the art program was actually what was confusing to me.
Okay.
And my reasoning was that you're supposed to go to school to learn something you don't know. So I did that. And then that led to a discovery of the Kansas City Art Institute, which was much, much more disciplined.
Okay.
And the rumor, well, I think at the time the graphic design program there was second to Yale in terms of its discipline and
Wow.
and what you could do with yourself after you got through it. So that seemed like an interesting thing to do.
Pretty impressive. Yeah.
So I went through that with a major in graphic design and a minor in photography.
Okay.
But the guidance counselors neglected to tell me that you were supposed to get a job in what you were trained to do.
Okay.
An animation studio moved into town.
Okay.
And that led
Yeah.
to something that was interesting. So a few years of doing that, working in films, actually in this very studio many years ago.
That's so crazy. What a small world.
Yep. And then an opening came up at the Kansas City Museum.
Ah.
And
Beautiful.
that trajectory has proved to afford me plenty of opportunities to be surprised and confused and learn all sorts of stuff as you explore other topics.
Sure.
So in a way, the Vox program comes kind of out of the museum
Really?
realm because doing a lot of research, hanging around in archives and old bookstores, I came across this book written by one Thomas Volney Munson, where he described hundreds of grape varieties that he had bred out of 31 genuses of grapes that grew on the planet, of which most of them are native to the Midwest. So there's more diversity here because of we have the woodlands, the prairies, the Ozark Highlands, the Mississippi Delta, all these ecozones are coming together, and that's where you get diversity.
Yeah, which is why I really want to focus on the fact that the obvious, right, of like Missouri wines and why this is there's so much that people don't know about it. So this is fantastic that you're getting into that too.
Well, and the other part of that history is that back in the 1860s, 70s, 80s, a lot of Germans came over after the 1848 revolution, or the counter-revolution rather, and the Germans, my heritage, being, kind of systematic thinkers and thinking long term. It's the idea of planting a tree even though you might not realize the fruits.
Right.
So they were doing a lot of fundamental work on viticulture at the time. But Prohibition came along and just blew all that out of the water. But until then, I consider Missouri to have been sort of the Silicon Valley of global viticulture. I mean, they were doing fundamental work on grape propagation, growing, all that, and breeding these varieties.
Yeah. And that is wild to think about. So what is that was that the 20s, 30s?
Well, the Volstagg, 20s, 30s is when all that sort of died.
Yeah.
And, museums are all about sort of dredging up a history and trying to discover what's still valid for today and tomorrow. And that's kind of where the impulse came from.
That's so interesting. So the book that you mentioned, is that something you as a winemaker, like, do you learn, did you read that book? Do you guys study the same things, or like, what is your,
it was definitely studying the book, but then more present-handedly, like, what my predecessors, what Jerry did in the most recent years. Because if I were to look up things about Tempranillo or Cab, there's a plethora of information. But it's just this much, if that.
Barely scratching the surface.
The Cloitas, the Wetumpkas. So.
Yeah. In fact, to that point, one of the people at MU gave us a really good piece of advice when he came, because we've had them up to see what we're going on. He said, beware of people from afar bearing numbers. Because you can't.
What does that mean exactly?
It means that you can't call someone out in California and ask them, what do you do about this grape? Because there's no point of reference.
Yeah.
I mean, we are literally kind of writing the book, or picking up where these old Germans left off to figure out what Wetumpka wants to be, or what Cloita wants to be.
Right. So, first of all, what's behind the name TerraVox?
It's behind driving to the accountant, realizing we need to come up with a name. So I thought, well, we do a lot of museums, and museums are either canonical museums, like, say, the Smithsonian, or they're about the identity of a particular time and place or event. And I consider that we were that. We were kind of trying to see what specifically these grapes from this land had to say, hence TerraVox, Voice of the Land.
Got it.
It's like they are
Voice of the Land.
This is the land speaking through the grapes.
Do you guys? I'm like picturing you guys walking through the vineyard and voices speaking to you and giving you the newest ideas for the things that you're going to do. Does that happen, or is that a little bit out there?
The conversation is much slower than that.
Oh, sure.
Because you say something, you try something with the grapes, they respond the next harvest, then try something else, and so it goes back and forth, but it's a glacial pace.
Okay, that's fair. So as I mentioned, TerraVox is stunning. It's kind of these rolling hills in the Weston area, right? You said between Zona Rosa and
Weston. Zona Rosa and Weston. Right there on 45.
It is. How did you find the property? Was it you that found the property?
Yeah.
And tell us about the experience for people that can come to the winery and the winery vineyard today.
Well, the property first. My sojourn through the agronomy program at MU, I was working at the soil survey lab. We were doing the analyses of various soils around the state of Missouri, including the low soils, the wind-deposited bluffs along the Missouri River.
Okay.
So I was in the lab doing the analysis of that stuff, and kind of knew that I wanted a soil that was deep and mineral rich, but not a lot of organic matter, so you don't just have a lot of lush growth. You want fruit.
Thank goodness there are people like you that know how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like listening to this being like, oh my gosh, foreign language, but I will learn someday.
But since, I would imagine most wineries start because you have a piece of land and your parents have, or whatever, you decide to grow grapes. But I had the option of actually picking a place to do this.
Okay.
And it was my wife's idea to just rent a plane and fly around and look for something that was close enough where she could commute into town to do her job at the Nelson.
Okay.
So we found this plot. She did the test drive, and as I say, we were like 300 feet inside her boundary of sanity.
There was a formula there. Got it.
Yeah. And then, then it's all... and then the other design decision was to build our winery, et cetera, on one edge of the property, so you could look out on the rest of it. And we found a place that you can't see any buildings from anyone else from where we are. So you can imagine that you're in Tuscany.
Yeah.
And the rolling hills up there, up north along the river, they're quite beautiful.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised. So I'm not from Kansas City originally, much like you're not from here originally either, the area anyway. And I'm actually surprised sometimes when I hear people who grew up here and they have not ventured into the area that you're in, or many areas around KC. And I think it's probably just a matter of like, take someone coming into town to, drive the hour, the half hour, whatever to do. But I mean, it is a no-brainer. I want to say hidden gem, but it's not a hidden gem because we know TerraVox, but everybody has to get there. And I see the images of like you on the balcony staring out, into the vineyard, and it's just so dreamy, and it really does. It just hits exactly what you said, where like you can't see anything, but obviously during the seasons where it's green or things are in bloom, like it's so beautiful. And
there are particular times early on when when it becomes nightfall and the lightning bugs are out. They will paint the hills with little spots of light. It's really so quite magical.
With summer months, just like, is there like a couple months span for that? Yeah. So you came here. What's your story of coming from Texas?
So from Houston, Texas originally. By the time college came around, the dream school was go to UT. So I wanted to be an engineer, and baseball was my first passion.
Okay.
And then I realized that I'm not, baseball is totally different thing. So
may not happen.
Yeah. So I was spending my first year in Austin trying to get into UT, and I thought I wanted to be an engineer. And due to some, transcripts and credits not getting to the admission, I just up and decided to go to Texas State in San Marcos.
Okay.
So shortly after that, I'm just kind of involved with the engineering and whatever, and then the coding classes came, and more of like specific of industrial engineering. I was too preoccupied of like having fun in college.
Okay, sure. Can't fault you for that.
Right. So then it gets to the point where, I come home for Christmas as soon as my parents, every time I'd come back home to Houston, they'd be in the front door, big hug. And as soon as we break the hug, my dad's like, let me see the grades. I'm like, come on, man.
No.
It's Christmas. We can't.
Let's not go there. Yeah.
So anyway, he basically just said, either switch majors or find a job. And so I had this epiphany, and, it was very, in a dream. I had this dream, and I was like, okay, there's something to this. And anyway, long story short, I get onto Netflix, and there was, like, on the suggested watch list, it said, like, there's a documentary called A Year in Burgundy.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, this is weird. I had this dream. I had this weird conversation with my parents. Like, where do we go from this? So anyway, I start watching it, and as soon as I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I could do this. This is... You
just had this like clarity of like
clarity and
calling
like
or something.
Inspiration. I think I was on to something, like this might be my life's purpose. As soon as I start watching this documentary, pull up my laptop. How do you become a winemaker? I'm at Texas State. What do I do? So
were you drinking wine before that? Like at that time?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, so you had enough familiarity firsthand.
Yeah, so Nicaraguan French, that's what all this is, and in that household there was always wine around.
Okay.
So ironically, it was just my birthday this past weekend, and
happy belated.
Thank you. And I had posted a picture of the Chateauneuf du Pape that I had at Vita's place, one of my favorite places in KC.
Yes, such a great spot.
And my godfather actually was like, "This was your great grandpa's and your grandpa's favorite wine." I was like, "Oh, what a coincidence! We never talked about this," and whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, where was I? I got to the point where.
So you watched the documentary and you started thinking like, this is what I think I want to do.
Yeah. So very quickly, I decided to switch majors. grades shoot through the roof, start doing internships. The first internship was for this Australian woman in just outside of Austin, Spicewood, Texas.
Okay.
So it's like right on the Lake Travis, and it was Stonehouse Winery.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found out that I could get college credit for it. So this is all unpaid.
Even better.
Yeah. So then the next semester, I applied to Salt Lake Barbecue. They have a vineyard out there.
Yeah.
So it's in Driftwood, Texas, and started doing that. And as soon as I graduate, I guess I go to New Zealand for a little bit with my friends. It's like before adulthood really started.
Yeah.
So while I was there, I applied for Pernell Cellars. It's one of these premier wineries in the Hill Country.
Okay.
And so
Texas Hill Country.
Yeah. So I'm working there at that point. But the ironic thing was, found this epiphany. Mm-hmm. Then I end up finding my now fiance, Kendall Jackson. So it's just the universe has a sense of humor.
Her name is Kendall Jackson?
Her name is Kendall Jackson. Yeah.
So wild. Okay.
And the same amount of
Shout out to
residual
Kendall.
sugar, too.
Oh, look at that. I love it.
Yeah. So it just like everything kind of fell into place. And so it's just like, wow, like, whatever message this is, like, I'm just going to take it and write it. So, so then eventually, I think I started when I was 20, like getting into the industry right when I was 20. I'm 32 now.
Okay.
And I think like 2 or 3, maybe 4 years into it, I called Clark Smith, who wrote the book Postmodern Winemaking. Mm-hmm. We had met at this symposium in the Hill Country, and so I called him up. I was like, "Hey, do you have any opportunities? Looking for something?" He goes, "Oh, well, I'm at a wine tasting. I can't talk for very long, but 15 minutes ago, a guy named Jerry is working on this really cool project in Kansas City. He's like, I know you're in Austin and everything, but you should really check it out." So I was like, and then he asked, "How's your lab work?" And I said, "Good."
Yeah.
So then I finished up Texas State. I'm sort of at the tail end of Texas Tech University with the winemaking courses. Mm-hmm. And then the day before I actually met Jerry, I had another dream. So I had, in this dream, there was like a skyscraper, but it was just concrete, I-beam concrete, and I was at the very top floor. And I remember waking up and looking around, and there's just cornfields. And so getting to the air, I know, Midwest and Texas, whatever. But when I showed up and I actually got to the vineyard, it was just like complete opposite. Rolling green hills, just dramatic effect, different topography and microclimates in the vineyard. So I was just like hooked. And then we started doing the tour, and next thing you know, he drops me off at my hotel. He's like, "Do you think you can handle it?" And I was like, "Let's go. I can do it.
Let's do this."
Yeah.
Do you have the same memory of how that all went down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Also, he liked Kate's cooking, so that was a critical.
Yeah.
Kate, your wife.
Yes,
your wife. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
fabulous.
She had this asparagus that was grown from the garden, and I had never tasted something so flavorful, and it was just it was this asparagus that trumped every asparagus I've ever had before.
Okay, can I come over?
And we were dipping in hollandaise, and I was like, "Kate, like I know I'm getting interviewed right now, but this is like the best asparagus I've ever had." And she goes, "Oh, thanks."
Yeah.
So actually, my first week when I started, Kate, welcomes me and is like, "Oh, welcome to TerraVox and everything." And she's like, "By the way, you got the job because you complimented my asparagus."
Yeah, there you go.
Like, "Oh,
icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You're like, I know what I'm doing. I love it. That's really fun. So and back in the day, so what year was that? 12 years ago?
So
is that right?
was...
Because Kansas City was a little different.
So I moved to Kansas City spring of 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, like, you weren't deterred by the fact that it's moving to Missouri or Kansas, Kansas City area.
It was almost like, all the I guess, work that TerraVox had done. He showed me this PBS feature.
You couldn't resist Jerry. I know.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
So much to it. But
the 2 J's over here.
There's just so much to learn, and I was just so excited about it. Because, when I was making wine in Texas, I was working with things like Tempranillo and Viognier and Alicante Boucher. It wasn't just the Cabs, the Malbecs, the Pinots. So the Tinta Cacao and Touriga Nacional. It was a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And so, Tempranillo and Viognier were like my favorite at the time, still to this day one of my favorites. And then when I heard things like Cloïda and Wetumpka, I was just like, what is this? I got to find out.
Intrigued.
And then seeing the pictures of the grapes and how they're structured and how they it was just like, I got to learn more. So I was really excited about that.
I love that. By the way, I really want to have like a dream analyst on this. I'm trying to find someone to come on because I am the person who wants to learn a little bit about a lot. And these topics come to mind, and there are a couple people in Kansas City who like work with people to kind of analyze their dreams, and I've never been through that myself. So I'm thinking of you.
I got a few, sure.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, have you talked to somebody before? Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a great story. Okay, so let's talk about the wines that are in front of us, and let's talk about what you guys are most proud of, what you're known for, the experience that people get when they get to have TerraVox wines.
So one of our bread and butters, sort of what we have mostly planned in the vineyard, is our Norton. So, we've played with Norton in different many ways, not just free run and press run fractions, but early harvest, middle harvest, late harvest. We've played with port styles, different variations and stylistics of reds, and even some rosés. So, when I came on board, Jerry said we have a Saunier version and we have a Sunny Slope. So the Sunny Slope's a little bit more reductive, where the Sauniers, which translates to bleed, picks more oxygen up, this hyperoxidation before fermentation. But it's really just the crush pad style to like actually collect that free run juice. So there's that kind of, I guess, different tiers of Norton. So, over the years, it's been like this 7-year-long experiment to figure out, like, if we want to call a Norton Reserve because it tastes really good, like, what makes it reserve? So we're trying to really, like, search for typicity and these stylistic approaches, but also just, like, notate everything.
Yeah.
So one of the first ones that we have is right here, this Norton Reserve. So this is a combination of the free run fractions, the late harvest Norton, and so that's what we have right here.
Is that kind of like what you're most known for? Is that what you?
I would say kind of put this on this like national spotlight of our Norton. So
yeah, because you guys have your award-winning wines, obviously, many of them.
In fact, the first time we submitted to San Francisco Wine Chronicle competition, the first thing that got us our best in class was our Norton.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess you want to tell them more about how Saunier came about, like I actually never asked you that, like how did we start?
Well, I'm glad
we all get to learn something new today.
So well, to back up 1 second. So the initial planning of the vineyard was about 25% Norton. Okay. The theory being that if everything else was a bust, I would at least have some grapes that were known to produce a good wine.
Yeah.
In fact, in 1873, a Missouri Norton won the best of class at the Vienna World Exposition.
Ooh, that's a fun fact.
So that was also something I came across that convinced me that there was something of world-class quality that was a potential of these grapes.
Yeah.
So we have all these other varietals that we just have enough to see, does it make a good wine and what is that? But Norton, there's enough that we can play around with and basically pull it apart. And, normally with a wet grape, you crush it, you make a wine from it. But we played around with pressing it fairly immediately, which brings off the juice, which does not have all the red color in it. So you have like a rosé. Or you do a little bit later and you have a redder that we can oxidize and make the Saunier. But then if you make a wine from the pulp that remains, it's much, much more concentrated. And then playing around with making fortifying it and making a port. So there's all these parts. And sometimes we'll do that with, there's another grape called Albania that we'll kind of pull apart and make 3 different ways, then blend them back together again. And that increases the complexity of the wine that you get.
Love it.
So it's sort of considering the grapes as sort of fundamental building blocks with which to structure a wine that we can hopefully come up with kind of a recipe that we can stick with going forward.
Yeah.
But until we get to that point, we're still playing around with some of the grapes to see kind of what's the best way of dealing with them.
Living the dream. Yeah, for sure.
There's so many different grape varietals. Every year it's like our mission to be like, okay, we think we figured out much. But then we find another style that maybe is better than the previous year. But you mentioned Albania, and there's actually a good story here. So you'll notice right here, you see how the label's in mirror image? You want to tell her how that came to be?
Well, because TTB that has to approve all of labels, their mission is to prevent consumer fraud.
Okay.
And their concern was that if someone saw the word Albania on the label, they would assume that we had grapes from Albania. And so they wouldn't let us put the word. We couldn't even say these grapes are not from Albania. We can't use the word at all. So we submitted this as just a a graphic.
Yeah.
And they bought that. Now, the next chapter of that story is we also have a grape called America.
Okay.
Now, the America grape is really unusual. It tastes, well, unusual.
Okay.
It's even in the notes from the 1870s when people were talking about the grape, they'll say, boy, this is really unusual. But they wouldn't. I mean,
but there was no other descriptor to it. It's kind of like the line in Fargo where they talk about, well, the guy was funny looking. What can you describe? No, he was just generally funny looking. Like,
so it's kind of, it's just unusual. Yeah. But we can't put the word America on the label either. And so we tried the same trick of just doing it backwards, and they were onto us.
Yeah.
So, so we just put the vowels on.
The consonants.
No, the consonants.
Okay.
Right? Left the vowels off, and which means we have to explain it, but it gives us a chance to talk about the grape.
The storytelling. It's all the details. That's so fun. Okay, so for people to find your wine, obviously they can come visit the winery, right? Tasting room. They can do, let's talk about that experience. Like when people make the trip to come to the winery, can they just walk in, show up? Are you open year round? We're obviously talking in winter right now, and I wanted to talk about the igloos as well. So you can kind of throw that in for the winter experience.
We just wrapped up this sort of like a half a year. So we converted our website from Squarespace onto WordPress.
Okay.
So we brought a new system because we had fragmented systems of POS and e-commerce and all these different things.
Yeah.
So we brought in this new sophisticated website, and part of it was, well, is it going to help us tell a story? Mm-hmm. And also sort of this gallery to sort of, if you want to peruse and you want to geek out on all the wine stuff, it's definitely there.
Yeah.
So the other features that we had is you can create an account and see, I want to order this or join the wine club, or I want to stay in touch with all the events that's going on. So the website's first and foremost the portal to kind of start the process there.
Yeah.
But, where we encourage people to come visit, so when you pull up to the driveway, that's kind of where the experience starts, because the driveway starts right where the East Block, where Jerry first planted, begins.
Yeah.
So when you come up the driveway and you pull in, you find your parking spot, as soon as you walk through the hallway, it's just this, you've seen it, floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
Just
amazing.
Showcase of the vineyard.
Very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had, we're thinking about so as of right now, that's where we can have our pairing events that Austin, our new director of hospitality, he's been with us for this year. But
shout out Austin.
Shout out Austin. And but yeah, he does everything from pairing the wines to these what's in the season, these different kind of meals and stuff. So this is an awesome experience. So
those are happening now. You can go on and find.
That's happening now. So we typically will have these pairing events once a month. We're thinking about maybe increasing the rate of it, how many times we want to do it, but we're really just trying to learn from our audience and kind of pick it up from there. The biggest thing that we're happy to announce is the wine bar that we're going to be building this early spring.
Ooh!
So that'll be.
What can we expect with that? Is it going to be in the space that you have now, or
it'll be outdoors? So we're having to
amazing
build up a retaining wall, some flat space to do this, so that you can sit out there in the outdoors, big roof, and look out over the vineyard.
Amongst the vines, too. So
I can't wait.
Very close to the corner of the vineyard. So it's it's really just right there.
Yeah.
So, there'll be a fireplace at the wine bar. There'll be this large wine bar itself. It's going to be open concept, so the only closed will be the bathroom and the kitchen prep area.
Yeah.
It's so, with a little bit of nibbles and some wine, people can really feel the cathartic experience, and it really is ethereal once you're actually just hanging out and drinking some wine.
Add those lightning bugs in too, right?
Yeah. And you've been there. I mean, the hills are very, very rolling. So by the time you're on top of this, you're looking down.
Yeah.
Over all this rolling land down the roads.
Yeah.
It's
our family has been there, and our girls have run through your rolling hills. So they had a lot of fun too.
It's a great spot.
That's amazing. So that's coming in the spring.
Yeah.
It'll be here for summer 2026. Yeah.
So we're hoping to have some sort of
perfect for FIFA.
That's
for anyone FIFA, come visit.
FIFA people. And then with the igloos, so we have these really great ethereal sort of igloos. We got them from Poland, and it's polycarbonate. It took a long time to set it up, and it's on this wine deck. So it comes equipped with a JBL Bluetooth speaker, a Dyson air control. So if you want to, it purifies the air. It sort of keeps it cold or warmer. So kind of up to you. At the base of it, there's some of the LED lights, so it really adds the experience. So whether you want to do a date night, or you want to have some of your friends over and just like the 8 of you guys just hang out and drink some wine. You even have some games out there too. So it's a really fun experience. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is our transition path to, while we have the colder months, is sort of this theme of like après-ski cottage. That's
Perfect.
sort of the theme we're leaning into. So that's kind of like everything that's going on right now and what to expect.
How long will the igloos be there?
So typically, once it starts getting like warmer, that igloo that dome sort of kind of feels a little toastier inside.
Yeah.
So by that point, we'll sort of pack up the igloos and sort of treat this wine deck as like an extension of like events.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
And I want to say too, for people like, for example, I live in South Overland Park, so I'm probably about an hour from TerraVox. I think it's good to remind people too that there's plenty of boutique hotels nearby and Airbnbs, things like that. Make a weekend out of it, make a night out of it. Obviously Uber, whatever the case may be. For other people that might be like, well, I don't want to drive home or whatever. So it's such a great area to make a whole experience.
But all told, we're about 20 minutes from North Kansas City.
Yeah,
so
it's not even that far.
Close.
But you feel like an escape, right, when you're there.
I live in Overland Park, too. It takes me 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And I remember when I used to make wine out in Fredericksburg. I lived in Austin, so one way was an hour and 15. And we're so spoiled that we're like, the vineyard not only is so close to the airport, it's also close. It's like exactly 27 minutes from like the crossroads. Yeah,
that's perfect. You can find the wine where else outside of the winery?
So outside the winery, we've been working with Room 39. We're close with the folks over there at Ted and Andrew over there. Bluebird Bistro on the west side.
Love.
Cellar Out, one of our favorite wine shops.
Yep. Crossroads.
Underdog in Brookside. We may be in Costantino soon. I'm not sure.
Okay.
We'll see. So
maybe a little
teaser out
Great.
there. What else? Gomer's. Mike's, Plaza on the
a lot of places around town.
It's all over the place.
And then, so for the wine club, let's talk about that because that's been going on for a while, right?
Yeah, it's a cool opportunity where oftentimes we're wondering like, hey, like how are people really taking in? So the community thing is like the first thing we think about when the wine club is. So we'll have these pickup parties twice a year. So once in the spring, once in the fall. And we used to do 3, 6, 12. So we'd have a Riley Circle, Munson Society, and GLE collective, his collective for the 12 tier. So now we do 4, 6, and 12.
Okay.
So you don't pay any dues. It's just really like you get first dibs on like the rarest of the rare, or something that's just like we think this is tasting amazing right now. You guys get first dibs.
Nice.
So it comes with like this
extra perks.
We're trying to build more of the experience and also the community. So some of these folks that have been our wine club members since even before I joined the team. They're seeing the place grow. They're seeing the different styles and where the wine's kind of veering off to, and trying to drive more attention to some of the events. So we're trying to make the wine club more of an experience versus just like, hey, I just expect something at my door and it's my club.
Yeah, like getting them to come in, to have, and then bring or maybe get that like. Whatever you call it, shipment there. They pick it up there locally. Yeah.
And there's also a particular aspect of kind of exploration for the wine club members, because if you think about all the different varietals that we do, some of the vintages are quite small.
Okay.
And so we want to give first dibs to the people that are more interested in being part of this particular community, because it's not like most other wine clubs where you sort of know what you're going to get every year.
Yeah.
This is particularly on the other end of that spectrum where you're getting a lot of things that are going to be unfamiliar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Love that. Kind of curious, like, how do you, you touched a little bit on like how you started getting interested in you as well, but why wine versus beer or bourbon, or what do you think it is about wine that you guys are drawn to?
Well, for me, wine is, nothing against good beer or good single malt scotch, but I think wine is the thing that is fundamentally agricultural and particular to where and how it was grown, with the potential to become transcendent if it's really done well. And on the way to transcendence, there's the matter of pairing it with food.
Yeah.
So you have to see, if you consider wine as a food and that it either enhances or counterpoints the thing that's on your plate, it just makes it a little bit more complex and fun, and it's more of a, it affords conversation.
Love that.
More so than just, boy, this is a great beer. I mean,
no, I get it. Yeah. I love a good beer too, but it's a different experience. Yeah. What about you?
I like his answer better.
You're like, I saw a documentary and I had a dream and
No, I love how cyclical it is. You know, like this time of the year we're, pruning and it's just all that. So élevage, for example, it's just the French word for raising. So when the chaos of harvest kind of slows down, there's always something to do. And I like that. Whether it's pruning or bench trials or sampling wines or what do we want to do with this blend. So kind of figuring out, so like the wine making side of it is also what I appreciate, because there's times where I'm trying wines from somewhere else. I'm just like, how the heck do they do this? Like, I need to figure out how to do that. But, I just like I like that there's an opportunity where you're storytelling when you're with your friends. Maybe the wine's not the focal point of the conversation, but it seems to be like a fun enhancer. It seems to be always part of it. I don't know.
I love fun enhancer because that totally resonates with me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's funny because I don't have a really good answer of
that's okay. I was
wine in the
curious.
first place. I just happen to love it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and élevage, I mean, it is like an education.
Yeah.
It's like a child. You're trading. You're bringing it along, and when do you intervene? When do you let it have its way? You're really kind of bringing a living being into fruition.
Yeah.
Literally fruition.
Yeah, when it's time to bottle, they're off to college.
Off to college. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording about your travels that you do. For either of you, do you have any places around the world that you just highly recommend people go if they love wine, if they really want to throw themselves into a really cool firsthand vineyard experience? Anything that sticks out to you?
Well, let's see. I mean, there's kind of a traditional arc where people who discover wine, they discover California, then they discover France, and then they discover Italy and Spain.
Okay. Kind of goes in that order.
According to this narrative arc.
According to the lore.
But meaning that Italy and Spain, the wines are much more diverse and complex, and it's a little harder to figure out than just Burgundy, Bordeaux, that sort of thing.
Got it.
And then, of course, California is California. But then once you go beyond that, we've been poking around the world. South Africa is a beautiful country, great. Long flight.
My husband and I went there for our honeymoon. And we went to Stellenbosch and Franschhoek.
Yep.
Did you go to those?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
I feel very fortunate that we were able to do that. And I mean, a totally different experience than you, who knows a lot.
We were just in Turkey and Turkey being a Muslim country, you wouldn't think, but there's a 82-year-old German guy that he had a career in doing, wildlife conservation around the world. And then some years ago, he discovered all these native Turkish grape varietals. So he's kind of doing what we're doing on a more limited scale. He's got like 8 or 9 varietals.
Okay.
But he's got these amphora, and some of them have Hittite markings on them.
Whoa.
I mean, we're talking millennia old.
That is wild, yeah.
And he's making these wines from these weird grapes.
Yeah.
And God bless them, doing the same thing.
With museum artifacts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah. Have you been, we talked about Texas Hill Country, if you want to talk about that.
I love the Texas Hill Country. The only other region that I've spent like more time, it was New Zealand. So the Marlborough, Central Otega, Hawke's Bay. So those were really like sort of enlightening when I was sort of getting my start. The plan is to go to Lyon, France for our honeymoon.
Amazing.
After our wedding in March. And I'd love to kind of start there.
You can write that off as a work trip, right?
Well, we'll see.
We'll work that out.
I don't know. But yeah, no, I think, there's places like I'll read about like the Azores too. That's another spot that I've been like, it's on the list. So
The Azores, by the way, the primary.
Portugal? Is that what you're talking about?
They're
the island?
They're owned by, governed by, whatever. Yeah. The primary grape there, though, was bred by one Daniel Norton, who was born in Osage County, Missouri. Oh. And he's buried there.
What?
But he bred a grape called Elvira.
Okay.
And that's what they grow over there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned harvest a little bit ago. I want to hear about what that, because that's in the fall, right?
Yeah.
Is that like September, October? Like, what's the experience like for you guys doing that? And is there anything that we as the public can participate in when it comes to harvest season?
Yeah. So typically for us, harvest kind of kicks off like, it used to be later August. Now it's like mid-August. We're kind of like August 13th is this soft start date. So when harvest kind of kicks off, it can last as long. Latest has been like first, second week of November, but typically averages between mid-August to like almost exactly on Halloween Day. Yeah. So October 31st.
Because if you think about it, which I didn't when we started out, when you have all these different varietals, they're all behaving differently and they're ripening at different times. So we're making a lot of, it means that not everything happens at once. Yeah. But it also means there are only certain of those harvests where there's enough grapes where a bunch of people can come and help pick. But when that occurs, boy, howdy, come on up.
Okay. Yeah. I got to do that. That'd be fun. So then what do you guys, I mean, is the like grape stomping a thing? Is that more just commercial?
It's a thing if the crusher December breaks.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but no, we're sort of, we have a really good handle on like the efficiency and like our logistics of like bringing in the grapes. So we have a crew come out as soon as the grapes are picked and they're dropped off to the crush pad. It's take the weight, go in the lab, take some analysis, chemistry, take some, get your additions ready. Then we hit the crush pad, crush to stem everything, get all that stuff ready. So, when we do have our picking parties or our harvest parties where people can kind of veer into it, what I've always noticed is people want to help on the crush pad too. Because it's like, it really is a full circle. So you have a combination of like, it's Christmas Day, all the presents are ready. So it's time to like get your presents. Yeah. And then it's like time to play with your presents. So you're getting the winemaking, so it's a full circle sort of thing, and you get to feel like a winemaker for a day, and it's really fun. I'm obsessed with it, and so other people start getting like
I'm so intrigued.
Big-eyed about it. It's really fun. So it's a combination of like this sort of like this gotta stay disciplined, gotta be it's a tough time, but it's like the best of time. Yeah. So like by the time it's done, it's like what I would imagine these rock stars or comedians, when they're done on stage, like their ears are still buzzing and like how do you kind of come down from that? And so it takes a little while to sort of transition into like the slower period. But that slower period doesn't mean that there's always something to do with the winery and vineyard. So
I love it. That's funny. I just watched the Taylor Swift, like one of her episodes of her tour, and she said after a show it takes her like 4 to 5 hours or more to like come down. Yeah. So she's like asleep by 4 a.m., because she can't just go back to her hotel and go to sleep. So makes total sense. I kind of want to go back to, because obviously people like myself are drinking wine at home a lot. So can you give some examples of like which wines pair really well with things that we might make at home, whether it's making an Italian dish or we're grilling steaks or pork chops or something like that? Do you have any recommendations for people?
Yeah. So this Norton, what we found is like, I think for proteins, probably lamb is probably our sort of sweet spot when it comes to it, whether it's a rack of lamb or any other kind of preparations I'm failing to think of right now. Nice. But one of the interesting things about Norton that Jerry's wife brought up, it's like pretty nice when it comes. It's kind of hard to pair a red with like a tomato based, so like whether it's an umami or something more of like a tomato centric dish. Norton's pretty flexible in that regard. Okay, so
that's good to know.
Yeah,
and the Norton port, like anything chocolate, it's really, really a nice pairing.
Yeah.
You guys have historically done some events pairing wine and chocolate. Are you guys still doing that? Will you do more?
Yeah,
okay.
I try to host as much as I can. I've found with our so one day we're out in the vineyard and I'm just trying to think of like why do we only drink rosé in the summer and springtime? Why do we only drink port when it gets colder? It's just like why? You know? So. Anyway, I had this idea. So I think we had dinner one time and someone brought these chocolates. And I was like, these chocolates are amazing. We're like, where are these from? They're like, oh, it's from here. It's like from Kansas City. Yeah. So I was like, okay.
We got to do that.
So one day I'm just sitting in the vineyard and tying up the vines. And then I think maybe we should reach out to them. And this is sort of like right when COVID was starting to clear out a little bit. So one day I asked Jerry and Kate, like, hey, let's go to the Crossroads. And I think it was that day that they had just opened up their location, the Crossroads. So we went in there and met with their team and some of the chocolatiers, and I called and I was like, can we do this pairing? We're trying to find this like perfect pairing and create an event out of it. So we go out there and do all the samplings. Luckily, I lived a block away, so I could just like crawl back afterwards. So it was clutch.
Crawl back.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so that just kind of became this event that we started doing like once a month since 2021 or so.
And it's with Christopher Elbow.
It's their chocolates. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's funny because you see these complete strangers become like best of friends afterwards. And if it was the chocolate and the wine, so be it. But like, it's a cool experience. And what's fun is like, that's just like one, like a tiny fraction of what, like in terms of exploring the wines, like one fraction of like the exposure of getting into TerraVox. And I like to say this, it's like, so we have like the Nortons, we have Vignoles and Traminette. So some of them are like these sort of stepping stones. Mm-hmm. So you get to this fence and you kind of like tippy toe and you see this whole world of like the Cloitas, the Wetumpkas, the favorites, we were talking about Long John on the way in. It's a cool catalyst to sort of like dive in. So whether it's the Elbow event or the Igloos, there's just so many different like portals to sort of explore what we have to offer.
Are there any partnerships or collaborations that you want but haven't done yet? Like shout out some things here that maybe we want to find some local companies to partner with.
Well, we've done stuff with Boulevard that we did a pet nat kind of collaboration with them. We did one with Torn Label, I think right around the time I joined in.
Awesome.
In terms of like one that'd be really cool, I don't know.
To be determined?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
even thinking of like some of the cattle farms and stuff, like doing something with like, some state companies or something too could be fun.
I would like that.
Farmers.
Kind of
yeah. Well, anyway, food for thought. Yeah. Okay, so back to the wines. Can you talk about some of the award-winning wines that you want to really recognize?
We just submitted 13 to San Francisco 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
We're super excited to see. So I think we actually submitted every single one of these. Besides the Norton, this Wetumpka report, I think this is another one. So Wetumpka is typically, I guess, like probably our most like popular white or like port sherry style that we make.
Yeah.
So I'd say for those that Wetumpka kind of behaves like Norton. There's like so much to do with it and so much to play with it. I think our Wetumpka report's definitely one of the things that we do best. Even that we have a sherry style version of this too. So that
I love those bottles too.
Yeah, these bottles are slick, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fairly unusual to have a white port out there, but this grape will. This is one of Clark Smith's suggestions. He thought that it had enough tannin and enough structure to withstand fortification, and by golly, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the sherry version, it's a very oxidized thing. It's you would never guess that those flavors would come out of that grape if you just tasted the grape.
Really?
Yeah.
It's close to tasting like a single malt Scotch.
Yeah.
Which is not what you get from.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That just reminded me, going back to South Africa, we went to a winery, and we will never forget, the guy working there had made a reference to like, you might taste some pencil shavings in there, and we were like, what? Like, is that normal to have like something obscure like that as something that you might like? What are some other interesting things that you guys recognize that other people like me might be like, what?
It's funny that you say that, because if we say delicatessen has blueberry notes or pomegranate notes, even though it's an innocent question, you're like, do you put pomegranates in the wine? It's like, no, that's just the grape kind of showing
like
itself.
Organically coming out.
Yeah, but we have a grape called Lenore. Which can have some of that pencil shaving element to it.
Okay, so that was legit. Yeah, we learned something. We were enlightened that day. Yeah.
Love it. And then like with the Wetumpka, I think every year, kind of what he was saying at the front half of it, but every year, Wetumpka always has this Missouri pawpaw. I think in general, like with our terroir that we have, I think that with our white wines, it almost seems like apple is like the common denominator with the white wines. And then when we talk about Wetumpka, it's almost like instead of the apple, it's more of like a pawpaw, like the Missouri pawpaw. But it kind of veers into like this, we're going to go tropical. But then when you pick up that pineapple, sometimes it's ripe. Sometimes it's like grilled. So it's just a dependent on like where the pineapple goes.
Okay.
But in general, it's very tropical.
Yeah.
Whereas Albania, there's 3 styles that I make it. So when I take the fruit, I divide it into 3 lots. One's going to be treated like a white wine, Then the second lot's going to be treated like a 2-day skin contact, so sort of like a red skin fermentation, like you would with red wines. And then the third one is completely all the way through its fermentation skin contact. So it's textural.
Okay.
It has some of those stone fruits to it, so it's really nice when we blend them all together to make this one. I mean, once you pour a glass, you wouldn't think it was an orange wine because there's so much. So the colors just change dramatically.
That's so interesting.
Depending on the style that we make it.
Yeah.
And then America, 1 year, and it's not a consistent thing, but it tasted like meat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is
AKA
also
unusual.
something.
Yeah. Unusual.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Wow, that is fascinating. I'd like to try that. I'll be curious if I could pick that up. Yeah. Well, good. So we also have this book here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this. Is this something that people can buy?
Yes.
Okay.
Available on the website. We got a, we decided there's
Show to the cameras.
Where are the
I'll find a picture of each of you to
people
show.
Ask a lot of questions, and we hear a lot of rumors and misinformation about what people have heard about Missouri wines over the years.
I know. I was gonna say, do we dive into that a little bit, or?
We dove, and with with Bronwyn, who's on the museum site. She was our researcher writer since since the beginning. Mm-hmm. So we took about 2 years to kind of dig through all the documents and all the research to try to put down an accurate story so that people could understand where these grapes come, what was unique about it, what these Missouri pioneers did. So it's a graphic novel format. I'm in the book. That was against my initial wishes, but she convinced me that
you have to be in the book.
Well, there needed to be some kind of character to tie it together. So I'm just there as a guest presence.
So humble. Yeah. Anything else you want to add on the whole Missouri wine thing for people to understand that? I don't know if there's if you call it a stigma. I don't know if people are not educated on.
It's a stigma.
Yeah. There's so much to learn.
I know. What was the Saturday Night Live thing they did once where?
It was they were saying it was a COVID era skit. Where they were saying hey, our grocery store is picked apart, but we have plenty of XYZ. And one of the X was, we got plenty of Missouri wines. And so we looked at each other and we're like, come on, man.
What? Who wrote that?
I don't know who wrote this. I wrote them a long letter.
Did you?
Accusing them of viticultural racism.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't respond in any positive way, but
yeah.
Frankly, after Prohibition, after it was repealed, every state had treated it differently. And one of the interesting factoids I learned is that the alcohol consumption, because of the Volstead Act, went down only 30%. There was the industrial exception, there was a religious exception, there was a medical exception, there was the home. And then there was, of course, the bootleg exception. So,
right, a lot of loopholes.
Really, but in California, they retained the ability to make wine because they were doing all the sacramental wine, et cetera, including selling kits of grapes with instructions on how to make wine, with a note that say, "Don't do this, or you'll end up making wine," that kind of thing.
That's funny.
Yeah, but in Missouri, they took out the infrastructure to make wine.
Okay.
So they were left with, all the vineyards converted to Concord for the Welch's grape trade or whatever.
Okay.
And it just took a longer time for Missouri to recover the quality wine label. And once you lose your place in line,
right.
There it was.
Obviously, you can't, argue with when you're winning awards for your wine.
Yeah, but the word has to get out, and our at least our thesis is that the stuff that comes from this Missouri, these grapes deserve a place on the world stage.
And I know firsthand because I've tried so many of them and have come back many times and love working with you guys. It's so fun. Anything else that you guys want to add about what makes you so proud of what you guys have created here and provided to Kansas City as this really incredible experience?
Well, the work's not done for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's so fun when you discover something and you find that there's much more to it. It's just like people. Like, oh, like maybe I judged this book too hard, but then I read the book and I was like, wow, what a great book.
Yeah.
So there's that, and kind of backpacking what he was saying about these grapes. It's like, I have found personally, so I've gone out there to City Market. We've done the, showcasing of the wines. So all we have is just a fold-up table, black linen, some of the wines, and maybe some marketing collateral.
Sure.
And what I have found is that, people always say to me, like, oh, like, is it sweet wine? Are you making wine slushies? It's like, no, it's not. So in order for us to kind of get these wines to be taken seriously, we sort of had to make it this way. But at the same time, we make things like Wetumpka, where there's a tiny bit of residual sugar, but I call it like a yaw bottle, where both sweet and wine drinker can enjoy the same thing.
Okay.
So what I've found in my excursions to City Market is that I'd say 8 times out of 10, someone prefers sweet wine.
Okay. But
then when they try Traminette or Vignol or maybe the Munch or maybe sometimes the Norton, depending on what it is and what we're showcasing that day, I have found the Midwest is full of closeted dry wine drinkers. They just didn't know it.
I love it.
And I think that's the part that makes it so unique, because you smell the wine and you taste something totally different than you expect it to taste like.
Right.
So there's like, that's one of my favorite takeaways, because, before it's just, what do you have to kind of work off of? But then when you kind of have this, this introduction to it, it's just like, it just doesn't stop.
Right. I love that.
Well, a couple of things for me. In a previous podcast about a year ago, someone that said, well, you should explain why you're doing this. And I couldn't think of a reason. And then after I thought a little more, I said, well, actually, that was the reason. Because there is no reason to do this. There's no one with a business plan or any sane project management regime would do this sort of thing. Yeah. So therefore, it was sort of up to me to do it, because nobody else would. But then the gratification comes. Remember, I come from a museum, designing museums. And in museums, they're about education. You're trying to move someone from their initial state of knowledge or assumption to another state of knowing something more than they did when they walked in. And you're not lecturing them. You're not telling them to read a label on the wall. You have to demonstrate through some evidence or experience that will make them realize something. And that's what this is, the evidence, and we have to get people up to actually have the experience, see what's going on, and they come back with a better appreciation, not just of the wine, but just, I think, a reward for exploring and having that social experience with people, and really understanding the whole benefit of the strategy of diversity.
Yeah. I love the social communal aspect of wine. I think again, I listen to a lot of podcasts and they cover a variety of topics, but everything in life really boils down to the quality of your relationships and people around you, and to have that, and if you don't drink, obviously you're not going to have that. But if you do, this is such a great way to add it into your family, your circle of friends. It's such a great enhancer. And also really amazing that you can take what you learned in designing museums and apply it to a completely different industry. That's really cool, the way that you kind of think about.
Well, we could argue whether it's a completely different industry or not.
Well, okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's very true. Well, good. Okay, we're going to get into some rapid fire questions. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys if you're ready for it, unless you have anything else you want to add that we didn't talk about yet. So we'll go for it. All right, for both of you, what is currently on your Kansas City bucket list? What do you want to do? What would you like to check off your bucket list here?
Oh, I got to check out the rabbit hole.
Me too. I haven't been yet. Need to go. Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank.
Great one.
There's so many places that
I know. That's what I do. Yeah. You know what happens to me? People are like, "Hey, have you gone out to eat somewhere great recently?" And I'm like, I can't think of anything. Let me go check my own Instagram to see where I was, because my mind freezes. Yeah. Come back to that one?
Yeah, well, you know what? I just came back. Sorry, Chiefs fans, but I just went to the Texans and Chiefs game. Go Texans. And that was my bucket list, so I finally got that one. So next would be the Royal Stadium.
Okay, great.
I have not been to a game yet.
You haven't been to a Royals game at all. I know. I was like, are you talking about like the new stadium that will eventually come to be? But you're talking about okay. Okay. Is there anyone that you would love to see or hear on this podcast from Kansas City, or anyone you think that people would really be enlightened by?
Jason Kander.
Okay. Yep.
I'd say Dr. Paul Stamets. That'd be a cool one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I know who Dr. Paul is?
He's sort of this leader in the study of mycology. He's like the mycology.
Okay.
I guess the mushroom guy. Yeah,
the mushroom guy. Okay,
he's
perfect.
Done all sorts of cool. Anyway.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Is there anything that you guys would be curious to know more about the Kansas City lifestyle, history, lifestyle today, things that are happening in and around Kansas City?
I personally would love to, being a Texas born, I would love to find more, I guess, episodes of Kansas City, like different eras of it.
Okay, yeah.
So I know there's museums to go to, but I'd like to see sort of like the Peanut. It was once a speakeasy. That's a kind of a dive bar. But then you can also go to the Nelson, and there's plenty to see of Nelson, and you know the way they came up with the, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? The setup of the lawn and the shuttlecocks, and like how that came to be.
Okay.
I love finding out things like that.
Sweet. Anything come to mind for you?
Oh, gee. I mean, I started my museum career at the Kansas City Museum, so I kind of waded through the most of the greatest hits of Kansas City history.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good. I know so much. We got to get the Kansas City Museum on for sure. So.
Yeah, Kansas City has a history of, you know, being a place where lots of things happen, and I think that's often unappreciated, particularly in the arts. And I think the arts are kind of where a place figures out who it is, what it wants to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that the history of Kansas City jazz in particular is kind of unsung.
I need to find a lot of people who can dive into the history of Kansas City and all these different areas, music and arts and everything. Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list for sure. Okay, to piggyback on that, what do you think makes Kansas City so unique, so great?
Well, while John's thinking, I think it kind of lets you do what you gotta do.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's it's a low threshold of opportunity to jump in and do something generally.
Okay.
It's not as stratified or as I don't want to say rigid. It's not as solidified as a lot of other cultural centers are.
Got it. That makes sense. I like that.
Yeah, I think you know, outside the barbecue identity, the sports identity, I think outside of that, I really like the art scene. I really like the food scene. I think the food scene is something that has not been fully tapped into yet. Like, I love Room 39, but I love going to Slop's Barbecue too. Yeah. And I think even if you find somewhere, a new omakase place that just opened up, I feel like it's done with so much intention and it's so purposeful. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of spirit that shows when you visit these sort of food spots.
You know, it's funny. Again, we moved here from Chicago 10 years ago, and I think the food here, Chicago has an incredible food scene, but Kansas City's food scene is incredible. Yeah. And even living here, I will not make it to all the places that I want to. You know, as much as we're out and about, like, we're really lucky. Yeah. So I like that. Okay, do you have a favorite hidden gem in Kansas City? A place that you like to go to, or make it not so hidden?
TerraVox Winery.
TerraVox Winery. Okay, that's a great answer. Yeah. Is that your answer too?
Well, of course.
Yeah. No brainer. Yeah. Okay. And then the last question for you is, if you could eat at, I might know, you might have just said yours, I don't know. If you could eat your last meal on earth at a local Kansas City restaurant, where would you have your last meal on earth?
I think I would have to have it at Room 39 with Jerry and Kate there, especially Kate having some influence on what we're eating that night. Yeah, with my fiance.
Does she get in the kitchen and make some asparagus maybe?
Kate is the goat when it comes to like putting in this cuisine from her, you know, her upbringing or something that she found somewhere else on the planet.
I love that you guys are like family. This
Ted Habiger and I'd say Kate.
Okay.
Somewhere there.
Great. What about you? You're like my kitchen. My wife.
Well, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
But behind that would be Ted. Ted did he's cooking our holiday dinner tonight. So
yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Very fun. Great answers. Okay. And the last question is, where can people find you? Both the winery, socials, website, all the places.
So if you type in TerraVox Winery on Google, you'll definitely find it. But our website's terravox.wine.
Okay.
TerraVox wine.
Okay.
Our Instagram handle, which we just got back.
Yes.
So it's TerraVox_winery. And find us on LinkedIn. Find us. Look out. There's some big things coming in 2026.
Very, very excited. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was really, really fun. As somebody who is a big fan of you guys, loves wine, has worked with you guys over the last couple of years. This is fun to get to talk to you more as well. And congratulations on having this amazing winery. It's such a great story, and I'm really excited for 2026 and what's to come.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in and finding inspiration in these incredible stories. If you love what you hear, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, leave a rating, and share the show to help these Kansas City voices reach even more listeners.